Hi everyone, and we're back again on the Hot Topic live stage. Today we've got a nice little interesting chat going on about sources and different sources we can have. So get your questions ready to fire over. Our chief involved with this is going to be Mark Fletcher, head chef at the Mia Hotel. Hi Mark, how are things?
Morning, afternoon, sorry. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thanks very much.
Hello.
Things are going really well.
Good, yeah, it's been a good weekend, though.
Yeah, it's been really good. So, as well as yourself, we've got Darren Creed, chef lecturer at Loughborough College. Hi, Darren.
You all right?
Yeah, good, sir. And joining us also is co-host and organizer of the event, Jackie Moss from Creative Agenda.
Hi.
Hi, guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about sauce, and I know we've got a couple of questions lined up already. So if anyone wants to fire a couple of questions to the guys while we're in, that's be absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of questions up my sleeve for you, Mark. Is it all right if I start?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
now, a mutual friend of mine and Darren's has a fridge full of Parmesan rinds, and she wants to know what on earth she can do with them.
Parmesan rind. Well,
yes.
That's a nice tough one to start on, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Hit him where it hurts.
you can put them in the tomato sauce, you know what I mean, just at the end, you know, or during, just to get the flavour going through. A lot of guys actually make a broth out of it. So you can actually use it in, say, a stock for your risotto and use it that way. Mm-hmm. You could also, one I have seen is used in olive oil to infuse your olive oil with.
Well, that's interesting.
So, yeah, but you've got to keep that about a room temperature so the Parmesan sort of really infuses into the oil. But don't use such a potent sort of virgin oil.
How long would that take to flavour?
Now, it will take about 4 days, around about that, 4 or 5 days.
Interesting.
As long as you look after it. Or you can be quick if you microplane it down a little bit or grate it down, then you'll be able to infuse it a bit better. But maybe have it in a muslin cloth or something so it doesn't sort of cloud your oil too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that helps you out, Audrey, if you're watching into this.
But then again, you could also infuse it in milk when you're making a bechamel or something like that, you know. Okay. When you're actually heating up your milk with your onions and your cloves and whatever in the classic method, you could actually, when you're making, say, a cheese sauce, you could pop the Parmesan rind in your milk because you're warming it to infuse it.
I think that's a really good idea at the minute with obviously how the dairy farmers and everybody are struggling. So it's a great idea to infuse the milk with it. Add it to your flavours for your sauces. It's brilliant. I think if Carl's watching, I think he'll like that with that hashtag with the milk your moment there. It's a fantastic way to use up the rind of the Parmesan. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. Do you want to hit him with one next, Darren?
Go on, let's have another one.
I've had quite a few coming in from the students from the college. Obviously, Mark's done a few guest chefs with us now, so a lot of the students obviously know Mark quite well. We've been up and helped him out in a couple of events up at the Mere. So one of the students have asked is why does a sauce split when making a jus? So I think before we go any further, you want to explain the difference between a jus and a sauce? I think someone's a little bit confused on that one.
Well, to us, the jus is, to me anyway, is a modern version of the sauce espagnole, which is a thickened jus using a brown roux traditionally and tomatoes or tomato puree. So a jus is basically a refined version of a reduced stock without all that in it. So for it to sort of, so that's what a jus is really. So if you're making a sauce from a stock, it needs to come down to a jus pretty much, especially a brown sauce. But if you have got oil or it's splitting in there, then it's how you most probably simmered it and maybe not skimmed it. So it's very important. You've got to get rid of all the impurities and the fat that is within the jus, and then this can actually lead to a sort of a split sort of look really with the fat being poured into the sauce. So skimming is very important. And then, but also if you're making a pan jus where you've used your jus and to make your sauce in the pan you've been cooking your meat in or whatever, it's very important that you actually deglaze the pan first with an acid or a wine just to emulsify the fat so it won't split into your sauce.
I'm going to ask this as a challenged amateur cook here. Once your sauce has started to split, is that it? Throw it away and start again, or can you rectify it? You can rectify it in some ways, like depending what kind of sauce it is. You know, if it's say it's a cream sauce,
you've got a little too hot, then just add a little bit more cream to tighten it. With regards to, say, a brown sauce is split, there's no hope unless you can call it a jus gras, really. That's technically not it. So,
Right.
But yeah, so with a cream sauce, it's rescuable, but with a brown sauce, for example, if you've got too much oil in it, then it's game over pretty much. But you can set it up in the fridge. You can maybe put it in the fridge, and then once the sediment's all rested in the fridge, and you can take that layer of fat off the top.
Okay, cool. Now, a couple of people have asked me, what does the term small sauce mean?
Sorry, what was that?
What's the term small sauce mean?
Small sauces. Ah, no, that's definitely come from a college student, doesn't it?
Getting technical now.
That question. Well, the smaller sauces, all the derivatives and variations of the 5 mother sauces you have. And we briefly mentioned the Spaniel. You have veloutés in that. Veloutés, I'm stuck now. Bechamel, velouté, hollandaise, and tomato. They're your base sauces, and then from that you can make derivatives. So from your hollandaise sauce, you then move on to béarnaise, Maltese sauce, and then your bechamel sauce, you can move on to mustard sauces, cheese sauces, and they're the smaller sauces. So it's the sauces that are derived from your basic mother sauce, really.
Okay. Just one tiny technical question.
You just seen that?
You know what? He messaged me earlier asking what time there he is. The timing chef, he knows that one.
It had to be Stuart, didn't it?
It would have to be Stuart, bless him. He's had the sauce.
Right, we've got a question in from somebody watching here now. Have you got any tips for a simple red wine sauce for steak or for duck?
A simple red wine sauce. Again, that will come from a jus you have, so a stock that you've reduced. And again, just when you finish cooking your steak, just add your wine to the pan. Make sure that reduces down by about half, and then add your jus to thicken. And that's it, really. When we cook in a restaurant, we make the jus, so we reduce them down to a sort of sauce consistency. So then they're ready to go, and then we change the aromats as we go along by using red wine, white wine, and so on. But yeah, definitely for red wine. A nice one for duck, and maybe in the winter time as well, is when you finish cooking your duck in the pan, just throw a few green peppercorns in there and a few sage leaves, and then deglaze that with a bit of orange juice, and then add your your jus to that. Is very nice.
Sounds good. Cool.
So another question just coming in there, Mark, is there a stock you can buy done to reduce?
I think there's plenty on the market nowadays. With the likes of the guys at Essential Cuisine, you've got Major. There's quite a few companies now, True Foods as well, and there's a few others that make ready-made sort of stocks and sauces ready to go. At me, where I work, on occasions when we do the really big numbers, you're talking 500 to 750 people at a time. It's very much a thankless task to make sauce for that amount of people. So we use a product that is just used as a thickening agent, really, which is the Premier veal jus from Essential Cuisine. So we make the stock in the traditional method, and then we just thicken it with a little bit of that through it at the end. So then you're not reducing it down too much, and you get a really good sauce ready to go.
I think, to be honest, a lot of people will use those as well. We do use that at college, and we teach them every way. But that product you're talking about there, the Premier jus from Essential Cuisine, is fantastic. A lot of them you can buy from supermarkets are very salty. And they're not nice at all. But that one is used.
I won't mention any names, but they are very salty, very nasty. I
was careful not to mention any names.
Again, with any ingredient like that, don't get me wrong. Years ago, they were all frowned upon, And when we were learning, when I was a young lad, to make sauces, that stuff was unheard of. And then when it came onto the market, there was still a lot of apprehension. But now it's such a tremendous product and gives you so much sort of economic benefit as well as the taste benefit as well. So you can consistently get a really good, consistent sauce. And like I said, there's plenty of those on the market, really, really good.
Yeah.
Got a question coming in from Jane here. When she makes a traditional béarnaise sauce, she usually has some left over. And she's wanting to know, is there any way to bring that back the day after if you leave it in the fridge overnight?
Oh, that's a bit
a bit nasty, that is it?
That's a bit. Well, yeah, you've got to be careful. You've got eggs in it. You don't. And the thing is, it will split. So you're better off just putting more on your plate, really.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Because, with food hygiene there as well, and also, but mainly when you're trying to reheat it, because you've emulsified the fats together by using the egg yolks and the vinegar, and when you reheat that again, it will just split out. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend warming it back up the day after.
No, have more the night before. Use it all up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Put more on your chips.
I want to say hello as well. We've got Matt Davis and Matthew Gibbons going, hi, Fletch. So
hello, guys. How are we? Nice to see you. Well, I can't see you, but thanks for the message. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, what's your favourite and most used mother saucer?
My favourite, most used mother saucer.
That's from our friend Adam. He wanted a good chefy question to ask.
Right then, my one. I always like a jus. I like a good jus. Always have a good jus on board. But for me, it's got to be a nice velouté, whether that be fish or chicken, because a chicken velouté, I think, is a wonderful sauce for a supreme sauce and things like that, with your mushrooms in it and your bacon and your shallots, and it's just a lovely, lovely sauce. So I would say that's my favourite, to be fair.
You got a favourite, Darren?
I was going to say the velouté as well, and I've just listening to Mark there. Mark's got one of the dishes on it at Brown's, which is their chicken pie, and until you've ate that chicken pie, you've not tasted anything like it. It is fantastic. So I've got velouté. Again, I think because it's so versatile, the fish veloutés get that right, full of flavour, beautiful. The chicken, like you said, add some wild mushrooms into that as well. They're such a versatile sauce.
Yeah, I love it.
When you've been down at college with Darren teaching the students, what do they struggle with the most there with the sauces?
Sorry, was that to me or to Mark?
That's to Mark. When you're down at college with Darren, what do the students struggle with the most with the sauces?
I didn't quite hear that, sorry.
When you're at college with Darren teaching the students, what do they struggle the most with when they're doing sauces?
I've never actually seen them struggle making the sauce, to be fair, on the occasions I've been down there, which has been quite a few times now. But they will have a firm technique and knowledge of what they're doing. You know, when we've been making stocks down there, they've always been skimming them and looking after them. And when I've gone down and overseen competitions and they were down there, they've always been very good and looking after their stocks, jus and sauces, really. Yeah,
to be fair, they've got a reasonable lecture team there, haven't they?
Yeah, he's not bad.
But I think what Mark touched on there earlier on as well, it's about having, if you've got that good base product, then you want to win it from the start. We try and have our stocks and sauces on fresh every day when we start on the Tuesday morning. The chicken sauces are made, the beef, the chicken stocks and the beef stocks are made fresh. And I think if you've got that as a start and a base, you're more than halfway there.
Yeah, and it's all about a decent ingredient as well. You must make sure your ingredients are fresh and looked after. You know, you can't make a good stock or a good sauce from inferior products, really.
Sure.
You know?
Our friend,
I remember back in the day, I used to really nurse my stock pot when I was a sauce egg, and we had this lad come over from Austria, and hopefully a few of the boys ain't watching this, but. No joke, I walked around to my stock pot and I found aubergines in it and courgettes and pepper tops. I lost it. And this little Austrian fella went, "Oh, that's what we do in Austria." And I was like, "Oh, mate, I can't be having that." And that was on the first boil, you know what I mean? That was on the first simmer. And it was like, "Oh, man." I was frustrated. And then the next day, he's putting my Madeira sauce over his spatzle. Yeah, it didn't last long.
Yeah, it's like I say, not nice, clean, fresh, flavoured ingredients right from the word go, and you're on to a winner.
And I said, yeah, and then just look down, make sure you don't over roast your bones too much and burn them and things like that.
Sean, they never chef do that.
Yeah, just looking after it, really.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What about the first sauce then? I've got another question, Quinto. What was the first sauce you learned to make?
First sauce I learned to make was actually, believe it or not, it was on the fly on an interview. I just moved up from Bath, and I remember I was reading LaRousse on the train up and I was going to a hotel in Chester that had 3 rosettes at the time, and I was reading through the LaRousse on the way up, and then anyway, I watched service, and the chef asked me to grab the ingredients for hollandaise sauce, and luckily that was one of the recipes I read on the way up, so I sort of memorised it. I thought, hello, this is playing into my hands, so I just hollandaise sauce was the first one, and the chef was quite impressed. I got the job off that, and the sous chef that was there on the stage didn't.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I won't tell you how we got exited from the kitchen because that was a bit naughty, but but yeah. So hollandaise sauce, I always remember that. Always.
And you got your job on the back of that, did you?
I did, yeah. I've done a year and a half apprenticeship there.
Impressive.
And then came back down to Bath afterwards.
I also remember reading somewhere that Gordon Ramsay gets his chefs to make a scrambled egg when they go for their interviews, isn't it? Is that true? Do you know? Just like
I wouldn't know, but scrambled egg is a tricky thing to get right.
Yeah,
to get really right.
That's one of the few things I can cook, Pat.
I've heard that before as well. I've wondered if it is true, but I have heard people saying that before. That's what it gets them to do. Because, like I say, to get that actually bang on right, it's not the easiest thing in the world.
What can I say? My house, you know. So we've got a question.
You've got to get it at the right cooking point.
Right. We've got a question from Linda now. Can you recommend a good teach yourself cookbook that will teach you how to make
teach yourself cookbook?
Yes.
Sauces and which sauces? There's not many sauce books out on the market, I don't think. But there was one I purchased as a young lad, and that was Michel Roux's sauces. I think it's somewhere in my garage somewhere, in a box tucked away. But yeah, Michel Roux's sauce book, you can find that on. I would have thought you could have found that on eBay or any other sort of site like that. That was a very good book, if I remember, as a kid.
Cool. What sauce did you make first, Darren, when you were learning?
It was a prunoise sauce. So nice classical sauce with prunes in the end to go with the pork dish. And I always remember the chef like going through it with me at quite a rapid pace, to be fair. My first job, fresh out of college, and he's like, okay, get on with it. We're having that now that's going on the a la carte menu tonight. That needs base there, that needs that doing. And he just walked away. I'm thinking, I've never even heard of this. What am I supposed to be doing this? But yeah, that's the very first one I did out of college, which was a prune one. And I still make that today. I love the sauce. I hate prunes, but I love it in a sauce.
Nice.
We've got a message on here from Craig Sherrington. Can you see it?
Yeah, I just read that.
Yeah. Pass a stock down the sink and then ask what you want to do with the bones.
It's technically never happened to me, but I've seen it, and it was that's an exciting one, that one, because it gets the old kitchen either laughing or you get a few people running away. But the one I seen, I remember so much, was that in the days long before blast chillers, they used to chill down the stocks and the jus in the sink, in the pans, you know. So you pass it into the pan, and some clever young lads kept the tap running, and so the pan was not as big as the sink, so then the water's it didn't look good in the sink. It looked like washing up water. But chef wasn't happy that day. I remember that. All behind me. Sure. But but I've seen it happen. Yeah, it's one of those things. One of those things.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times in college. Obviously, we're there teaching them, and you say when you're trying to teach them, and you say normally, pass the stock. It depends what level of student you're working with. So I used to work on level 3 quite a lot. If you then go to a level 1 or level 2 class and say the same thing, and all of a sudden they bring the bones to you, like, well, where's the rest of it? Yeah. And down the sink. We're there to teach them. They're learning, so it's one of the things that happen. It's not a happy moment when it does, because you just have to explain the reasons, why that goodness has just gone down the sink.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you look at the financial implications on that. You look at the time implications on that. That's good 18 hours you lost there. Not including the man's hours, your ingredients. That's pretty frightening now. I understand why chef wasn't happy back in the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's another question there from Stuart for you.
What's the best place I've ever worked at? Oh, that's got to be with you, Stuart, at Hinckley College the other month, I reckon.
I'm behind your back.
Oh, that was a fun day. That was a fun day. There'll be another question coming from him in a minute. But yeah, that was good. That was
We've got
good.
another question from Matthew, actually, saying, "What's the strictest chef you've ever worked for?"
That's what I look for college students, Mark.
Strictest chef I've ever was probably myself. Strictest chef I've ever worked for.
Or the most scary, which I suppose is broadly the same thing, isn't it?
I can't mention any names though for the strictest, really.
Nobody's you go for it. Come on.
Well, no, Dave. I've been quite lucky. You know, I've been quite lucky. I've worked with some amazing people, and some not so. You know, Mr. McLeod knows who they are, and it's not Mr. McLeod, by the way. But no, I worked with some great guys. Don't get me wrong, and I've been very privileged enough to meet some great people through this industry as well. But as regard the strictest, I would say that was my my first chef up in Cheshire, will remain nameless, because he was ruthless. Never seen a man like it. But a really, really good chef. I don't think he's chefing anymore, but he's a really, really, really good chef.
Yeah.
And that, I think you find that, don't you? Sometimes they've got to where they are for a reason, and not so much now because obviously the industry's trying to change. But certainly when I started, the chefs were ruthless, and they were the ones that were probably at the top of their game at the time, were the most hardest to work with or to work alongside.
Yeah.
Well, Stuart can't leave you alone this afternoon. He wants to know, apart from Wellington, what's your favourite dish? What's your best dish? He's saying, apart from beef Wellington, what's your best dish?
My best dish. See, the Wellington. I keep getting stick from this. I just done it for a team of 500. That was all.
I saw the pictures.
My best dish. I think my best dish. Oh, I don't know. If you ask the golfers at the mirror, it's the Cajun chicken in the club lounge. But I don't know. We cook so many, you know, and so at the mirror and where we are, we cook a vast array of different types of cuisine. So it just depends where we are in the time, really. But my best dish, that'd be salmon on croûte, chef, I reckon, after the Wellington.
Let's do it again. What's Thomas's best pastry sauce?
Have a go. Blimey.
Stuart's getting his money in, isn't he, today?
Pastry sauce. You'd have to ask Thomas's best pastry sauce.
Well, we had a question from another student as well to put in here. What's the most important element of the sauce? There's a big
most
question.
Important element. Well, you got three. I think 3 or 4 there. It's got to be clean, decided in taste, definitely. It's got to have a nice sheen, and it's got to be nice and easy on the palate, and definitely decided in taste.
You agree with that, Darren?
Yeah, definitely. You go back right from the start. If you've got clean ingredients, fresh ingredients going in from the start, every stage then, and you add more and more flavours to it and more clean ingredients, you can't go wrong. Well, you can go wrong, but if you're looking after it and you're taking time over it, you end up with something which is fantastic on the plate. And I think with those sauces as well, they should complement the dish. They shouldn't overtake what the dish is. Let all the flavours, like Mike said, clean taste and speak for themselves.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle, isn't it? It's just a vehicle to aid digestion, really.
Yeah. Have you seen the question on the pasta, Jackie, on the arrabbiata? Oh, I think we lost Jackie, Mark. Are you there?
Oh, she's gone down. She's upset.
I lost myself.
So question on arrabbiata, Mark. How would you make arrabbiata? How would you go about it?
This is for me or Jackie?
I don't even know what an Arab that is. So I know what you do with the chili, but I don't know what you do. So on your way. On you go.
Control the spiciness of it.
Well, arrabbiata is as an Italian angry sauce. When I was taught, you know, the arrabbiata comes from the term angry, means angry or fiery, which is like how much chili do you want in your sauce. So it's technically quite a sort of spicy sauce, I would have said. Me, I'm not a fan of that sort of chili heat spice, really. But when I make it, I make sure I've got a good tomato sauce base, and then I'll just heat a little bit of pommes all in a pan, throw in me sliced chilies, and then I don't give them any colours, let them sweat a little bit, and then I throw in a bit of basil just to calm it down a touch, and then my tomato sauce and give it a simmer, and then off the stove really. But I'm pretty sure back in the day it was always dried chilies. We used to use chili flakes when we used to bulk brew it back in the days.
Yeah, you get caught out in dried habanero flakes, can't you? There's some power in them.
Yeah, you wouldn't have them, would you? Ooh.
No.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
When you say like you bulk make a sauce when you do these big occasions, what size is that? Is like sort of 10 litres or something of it, or not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can. It varies on what the dish is. But if you're doing a braised dish, you need quite a lot. So you could be talking, say, for 500 people, like 20 litres. But it's never like I worked out if you're 500 to 600, 700 people, you're talking around about 15 to 20 litres of sauce, depending on what the dish is really.
Right.
That doesn't include hollandaise. We still got to get that one right. We want to get loads of leftover hollandaise sauce. Never mind.
You have to see Mark's kitchen to appreciate what goes on in there. I've done a few events with him, and he's literally pulled from pillar to post, but he's in control of every element of it.
No, I'm not. Nowhere near me. I'll make it look like I am.
I've had quite a few people asking me, why do people put cream in a carbonara?
Oh, that's a debate, isn't it? That's like putting clotted cream on. No, it's not. That's just typical westernization and laziness of Western chefs, really, and the Western palate, I would say.
Yeah,
because a carbonara is the pasta cooking liquor liaised with the cream and the eggs. So I think the cream was, well, not the cream, the parmesan and the eggs and a bit of pecorino in there. But it is just down to pure bonehead laziness.
Yeah. You agree, Darren?
Yeah, absolutely. Never put cream in a carbonara. And I think the problem is now you see it more and more in the restaurants that you go to. It's very few that actually do it properly. When you do get it and it's done right, it's fantastic. That claggy, horrible cream in there, no, it's not nice at all. Not nice.
No, not at all. Nasty.
Should never be in there.
I think we get the message. We had a question earlier. I can't exactly remember how it was worded, but with all these pre-prepared sauces that are made and easily available now, do you think the actual skills of the chef are being eroded?
No.
Okay.
Because all those skills will still be there, and this is what I teach and Darren teaches to his team and my team. They still have the basic understanding of how to make a stock and a jus. With the size brigade I've got, there's time that we do use brought in products. It's more consistent, and bearing in mind I have to be a businessman as well. When you're chucking 100 kilos of eel bones in the bin every day, and you've got to get that paid to be taken away, that also is an extra hidden cost to your kitchen. Which a lot of people don't realise. That you've got the guys washing it up and whatever, and your oven on overnight, roasting your bones, and your stock's been on 12 and a half, 14 hours, gently simmering away. It's a lot of work. And like I said, with the industry, it's supposedly struggling for chefs. You've got to cut your cloth accordingly sometimes, really.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's a time and a place for it. As long as the chefs have got the base knowledge there and they know how to do it, then these products that are out on the market now they're good. They're not like they used to be. Exactly. Like when they first came out, I think they were a bit raw and a bit salty and a bit not great, and chefs did seem to shy away from them. But now they definitely have a place in the kitchen.
If you know how to cook, you know how to use the product.
Yeah.
Fair point. Yeah. So we've got, what's your tips on what wine to add to a jus?
Tips on what wine to add to a jus? Again, it varies on what you're cooking. So if it's a hearty meat, you're looking at red wine or a port or a little bit of brandy or something. Oh God, sorry, lost myself. My phone's been charging. Sorry. One, two, three. So reduce your wine down first. That's the main thing to get the sort of acidity level off it. The way I was trained is that once we reduce the wine down, you should no longer be able to smell the alcohol on it. And then that's the time to add your jus when it's nice and syrupy and lovely. And then you just add your jus to that, let it infuse, and then pass it off. Ready to go. Keep it nice and warm. Lovely. Okay. But yeah, again, like one to a jus, okay, and say maybe a chasseur, you know, a nice little chicken chasseur, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think as well what Mark's saying as well, again, when we're talking about the quality of the product, don't go for the cheap wines because you're going to end up with a very acidic tasting sauce. So making sure you got a good product, a good quality wine to start off with as well.
Yeah, and a deep-bodied red always helps. A deep-bodied red.
You got to taste it first, haven't you, Chef?
Oh well, on occasions it has been nice.
What you cook with it, you got to taste it.
That's very true. But again, what I used to do, because again, when you look at how you work or whatever, when we used to make the jus, and this is before I took on the Mir, in my last hotel, I used to make my basic jus, and then from there I'd have different reductions that I would add to the jus as we went along, which sort of really helped the speed of service and the cookery and the consistency of the sauces that we were serving. So, say if it was a red wine jus, we'd have a really deep red wine reduction, and in that reduction we'd have like 2 bottles of red wine, some mushroom peelings, whatever went in there, and then some herbs, and then that'll be reduced down to a nice sort of syrup, and then that'll be added to the jus right at the end. So you've got that really depth of flavour going on.
At what point in the process does the sheen come on?
Sorry, broke up there. I missed you there. Sorry.
What point in the process does the sheen come on?
The sheen?
The shininess, the sheen of it, yeah.
That's the natural gelatin in the bones that are doing that.
Oh, okay.
That's where it comes from naturally, yeah. As long as you look after it and keep it ticking away gently from when you made your stock. Yeah, mm-hmm. And that real, it's how you get your gelatin out of your bones, really, when it comes to making the stock. Mm-hmm. And it's a long, lengthy process. Mm-hmm. But you just got to nurse it along, keep skimming it, and then pass it and reduce it down. Lovely.
Mm-hmm. I'm being asked if you finish with you with butter.
I used to a lot, but then you get the allergens, don't you? So you've got to be a bit careful what you put in now.
Right.
So we try and make it sort of. There's some certain ones you would, like I said, like with the old bone marrow sauce Bercy and things like that, with the shots and the bone marrow in it, and the bone marrow is used to thicken the sauces with. And it's the same. It's the same with butter. I don't really like to finish a jus with butter. To be fair, I mean use that for a bit of fish cookery. But again, if you're finishing in this day and age, finishing a jus sauce with butter, a brown sauce, then you know with the allergens and that we have to declare on menus and whatever. It's that's a dying thing, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the allergens come on now. If you can make your sauce which hasn't got a lot of those in, it's more versatile for a bigger function. But it is very difficult at the minute. You know, every service is at least 5, 6, 7, 8 allergens on there, at least as a minimum.
Yeah, and you got to be careful. Huh? You got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I haven't got any more questions. Have you got any, Darren?
I'm just checking to see if any students have sent anything else in. The mate favourite sauce. So, what's your tips on making a roux or a bechamel? Any tips?
Any tips? Just make sure your stock's hot.
Are you not a roux? You're a hot.
No. You got to continue the cooking process. You know what I mean? So once you made your roux or your blonde roux or you made derivatives of the roux there, just make sure your stock's hot, and then keep nursing it. Add it nice and gently as well. Add your stock nice and gently, and keep incorporating it as you go, and ensuring you got no lumps in it and things like that. You can use a whisk. Don't get me wrong. A few of the Stuart McLeod would use a spoon, no doubt.
The lumps of the kill, aren't they? We're being asked about fish and shellfish.
Yeah, shellfish and fish sauce. I love them. I absolutely love them. Fish sauces. Again, not many people cook many fish sauces these days. You know, we still make fish veloutés and things like that, and a lot of other hotels and restaurants do. in a house or in an environment we're in at the moment, I don't cook any fish sauces at home, things in the bin as well. But for me, I do love a nice beurre blanc, a nice fish velouté. Love a lobster stock, absolutely love it, and a shellfish bisque and all that sort of stuff. I used to love making all that. Used to absolutely love it, roasting off the lobster bones, and they were great. They were great.
Yeah. Stuart's on again, wanting to know if it's cauliflower or arrowroot.
He says what?
Cauliflower or arrowroot?
Arrowroot.
What, in his desserts? I wouldn't know. Ask him.
That was a bit naughty, wasn't it? You know he used his...
Porter, that's a question, isn't it?
Dairy.
There's no dairy in it. I don't know. I don't want to be done by trading standards on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually, that, isn't it?
I've never actually used dairy-free butter in sauces.
No, I've not.
He makes vegan butter.
No such thing.
This is going to be a side discussion, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
No.
Right, so we've got...
Do you call it butter? I don't know. Vegan butter is another one. It's like, that's something I have to look into. It's like mainly if I'm making a vegan sauce or something like that, it'd be more like a sort of Asian-y broth where you can punch a load of flavour into it. I presume it could work in the same way. Say if you're making you could make a vegan bechamel, I would have thought.
It's quite interesting to try and just see what it comes out with.
See how it reacts.
Yeah, Paul was offering...
I made a roux sauce here the other day in my house, and my wife's Polish, so I'll get a few Polish ingredients on. And this Polish flour came over, and I must admit it worked totally different making a roux with it. It took far too much flour. It was very bizarre. Normal English butter, of course, but no, that's very so. That'd be interesting to maybe try vegan butter, if you can call it vegan butter. And
I think it'd be quite
gluten-free flour and maybe it'll work with soy milk, surely.
Yeah, especially for us with the students, we can get them having a go on that and do some taste tests and some comparisons and see actually what it's like.
And what I must admit, this is exciting as well with all this vegan stuff. Don't get me wrong. Is that you're learning a new way to cook as well as you go along. You know what I mean? And you're constantly learning. And what gets me about all this is that you're trying to find comparisons to it, and yet you've got nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
Because you've sort of never done it before. You know what I mean? Making a sauce with soy milk or vegan butter and gluten-free flour. There's no sort of benchmark, is there really?
No, it's interesting. There's a chat the other night on Chef Publishing, and Sat Baines was saying about why he doesn't do vegan food, because he says you just said there, he's never done it. He doesn't say he's an expert in it. So leave it to somebody else. He'll do vegetarian, but won't do the vegan. Not his thing.
Well, he's allowed to do that, isn't he? He's allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to cook to me customers.
Yeah, he's got the clientele from, hasn't he?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got one from Stuart on the screen asking about the ingredients.
Ask him how his haircut is.
Yeah, he's had his haircut today, hasn't he?
Yeah. Any molecular ingredients for sausage you would recommend? Absolutely none of them, chef. Absolutely none of them. Good skill, technique, lovely.
Can't beat that.
And he knew that answer. He just wanted it.
I think Stuart's enjoying this, isn't he?
He is. I bet he's sat there with a gin, cracking an egg down his Gregory and a spoonful of sugar as well.
That's a challenge that's going on at the minute, Jackie. I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, no. Having no part of that. No part.
I couldn't do that. There's not a chance I could do that.
Not having that.
Why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
Ew.
Well, I've got an answer, but it's not for this time of day.
Oh, fair enough. I'll check in with you later. Got any more questions your end, Darren?
No, that's it. There's no more. No, I think Mark's answered really well. He's given a really good insight and in-depth knowledge of sources there for everyone who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad everyone found it sort of semi-informative, really. It's been nice to see you all. And well done for this weekend, the pair of you and Sean and all the others, and that I've seen doing. I think it's great what we've done in lockdown. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to have done a bit of cooking for you, but I can't swing a cat in my little kitchen at home. You know what I mean? I might do it at Stuart McLeod's kitchen next time. I reckon he's got a big
Yeah, he's
kitchen.
got a really big one, apparently.
Yeah, I reckon so. But yeah,
Well,
but no, it's been great what you guys have done. Huh?
We might be doing it again in August, so I know where you live.
But actually, Mark, there's one more question just coming about flavoured oils. Any tips on making flavoured oils?
I can't see that one.
Sorry, mate, you broke up there. I couldn't hear. Sorry.
Any tips on making flavoured oils?
Any tips on making flavoured oils?
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't burn them really. You can make any flavoured oil really, and unless you can buy some great ones now as well, I think, but for me, just make sure your oil's warm, not too warm. It's like I used to make a lemon oil back in the day, and I used to heat it to 50 degrees with all the zest in it. Or even then, I used to backpack it and put it in a water bath, but that's when I had more chefs and more time. But no, you can, any herbs, anything like that, just give it a little warm, let it infuse and allow it. My favourite one was always lobster oil. I used to love making lobster oil. Again, just another fantastic thing. Those were the days.
Yeah. How big's your brigade now then, Mark?
I've got 20 chefs. 20 chefs, yeah.
And you take people from Darren as well, don't you?
Yeah. I've got a couple in Darren and also Hinckley College as well. And no, very good. Good lads, are good lads. They've had good training. I've got to say that because he's there, isn't he? And he's looking at me. No. They've been really good. And one's with me, been with me almost a year now. So and he's done really well and come on leaps and bounds. And yeah, it's a true asset to us and to what Darren has done.
Well, that came from, again, a conversation we had with Mark from a little stars there that did the Mark, did an event with him, enjoyed it. Mark seen something with him. He finished college about a month after the event, and he's been with Mark ever since.
Was this Toby, is it? Or
yeah, Toby.
Oh,
yeah.
Toby,
Yeah.
Toby, good little lad.
Just when you thought all over, Mark, you've got one more question in it. The opinions of Ultratex and have it got a place to prevent sauce being too strong in flavour?
I've never used Ultratex in a sauce. I've seen it used in a glass once, and yeah, the flavour wasn't there, and it looked milky, it looked horrible, and it was nasty. But I wouldn't personally use Ultratex in a sauce, really.
What is it?
It's a thickening agent, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I don't really use much of it. There's only one thing I actually use Ultratex in the kitchen. That's when we're doing these large functions actually, and it will go into, say we're doing a puree on the plate. Say it's an apple puree for a tart or whatever, like as a savoury dish, or even a bit of creme fraiche on the plate. I will put a little bit of Ultratex in there, so then it doesn't bleed onto the plate, and that's the only time I sort of use it. But I've never made a sauce with it, so I won't really be able to make. Like I said, I've seen one, and it wasn't the same. Someone made me a prawn glass one day, and it was using Ultratex, and I showed them a prawn glass, and it blew them away.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it's all like I said, it's all modified starch. It is all modified starch. And
did you use that sort of thing in the Olympics, Darren?
So I broke up there. I didn't get that.
Did you use that sort of thing in the Olympics?
No, not really. I use it in like a fluid gel, like Mark said, or a gel on a plate to thicken. I wouldn't use it in the sauce.
No.
It's not. You don't. If you do,
we're being old-fashioned now, Darren. We're going to be called out for being old-fashioned now.
Yeah. But if you've got everything right from the start and you're allowing the natural process to reduce down, then you shouldn't need it. Yeah, I get it for a gel.
But again, it does. Don't get me wrong. It does have its uses, and it's there. But it's got to be used in the correct manner.
Yeah, and I think too many chefs see it as being this trendy thing that we've got to use and we've got to put on a plate and we've got to have it, but they don't actually know how to use it. So they'll start chucking into all sorts of things. I mean, you're left with it, not a very nice textured sauce. It's gone wrong. It's not good. but it is good for gels and things, but definitely not in the sauce.
And it also with Ultratex and things like that, it will give you a different mouthfeel as well to a sauce. You know, it'd be sort of
like a residue.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I wouldn't put your finger on it. I wouldn't put your lip on it, but it's a totally different mouthfeel.
Graham says it's actually with agar for a gel. Is that right?
Yeah, agar works as well. I mean, they both do the job.
Yeah. Like I said, it's all technically modified starch apart from agar, of course. But back in the day, using agar, that's what we used to use to make aspic with, wasn't it, Darren? Back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And the good old aspic.
Yeah,
we used to use that to thicken our stocks for glazing and things like that. And these cold decorations and what's up.
Cool.
Base for tomato sauce. There's a question.
Yeah, we're just about to wrap this up now, so there's a good one.
I'll ask that one. I'll answer that one. A base for tomato sauce. Now, depending on quantities, but we used to make it to order, believe it or not, and years and years ago, and it was always Roma tomatoes, ripe Roma tomatoes, and we used to peel them, petal them, and just saute the petals in the pan with a bit of garlic, and the way they broke down to a sauce is absolutely unbelievable. And a little twist of pepper, a little hint of garlic, absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
Still the best tomato sauce to this day.
Yeah.
It was just a hot pan, a little bit of olive oil, and then in with your tomato petals, plenty of them, mind you, about 6 tomatoes, and then that just cooked down, little slivers of garlic, absolutely stunning. Really, really good.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
That's lovely.
Well, the last question for me is on your bacon butty. Are you a red or a brown man?
It's brown sauce for me.
What about you?
All the way.
What about you?
It's got to be brown sauce, I'm afraid.
Goodness sake.
Yeah.
On that note, I believe you.
Well, I'm going to put in because I'd be ketchup, and it's been a lovely discussion with everyone. And actually, I've got a little video here from Ostras Francis in Medina, and there's a lot of sauces in this video, so take a little look.